Now you're welcome back to the conversation. It is still the Polity reaching you live from Kaftan Television Studios in Abuja. And I'm in the studios with Barrister Adewole Adebayo, the lead speaker for NCFront Nigeria. And we've been discussing the third force agenda in Nigeria. Barrister Adewole, before I went on that break, before we go on, do not forget also that you can call in and make your contributions on the show, and also probably have a question for my guest. Please bring it on. He's ready to answer you. All right, I was talking about your readiness, of the NCFront, and if probably it becomes a political party going forward, to tackle the existing political parties we have in Nigeria, who are used to smear campaigns, who are used to, negativities, and especially slander, which they use against their oppositions. How do you intend to, carry on despite this existing in Nigeria's political space?
That will not apply to us. We don't operate in that frequency. We don't need slander. We have a message. If you come to us, we know up to the last cubic how much water is in Chilawa Dam, Tiga Dam, Owana Dam. We know what you can do with agriculture. We know how to secure towns and cities and roadways. We are going to be discussing on why it's not possible in a 120-kilometer length highway to be able to use both air and ground and intelligence assets to secure these highways. We are more interested in the number of children who are in school and school nutrition. We are interested, we know where the refugees are and why the resources are not getting to them. Those are the topics we are going to talk about. We know how to balance the budget. We know how to put efficiencies in our project management. We know how to manage our foreign debt and to make sure that we do not become a highly indebted country, worse than how Obasanjo met us when he came in 1999. We know how to defend our currency and to see that people who put the currency under pressure, which is the politicians corner all the money in the country and they have no efficiencies on how to manage the money. So what they do is convert this money to dollar and sterilize these dollars everywhere. And the central bank will know how to manage that to see that it does not become a purse for the elite, that it becomes a defender of the currency. These are the topics we're going to be talking about. We know how to secure the communities. We know how to end kidnapping in 3 months. We know the mandate. These are the things we are going to be engaged upon. We are not interested in the grievances that you had among yourselves in the last 30 years. We are not interested in that. Yes, no, if you look at it, even all the slander, all the noise making, all the money that is spent in the media does not bring the people out. In the last presidential election, and they had a star in the name of Buhari. Buhari is, until the collapse of his image, was a rock star. And with all the rock star, how many voters came out? Because for Buhari, who was a rock star, people saw the people around him to say, why is this man has been surrounded by all these people? People say, well, it's a necessary evil to come to power. But that even depressed the vote. And now, with Buhari having suffered a colossal bankruptcy of his image, there's nothing for them to rally around with. So, if you saw the recent elections in Anambra State, billions were spent, court cases everywhere, and many of the people contesting were billionaires, the airways were filled. How many voters came out? So the noise making, the slander is not addressed to the people. The reason why they are doing this is to stop you from asking questions. Because they have not done well and they do not want you to ask them direct questions regarding performance. They are going into offices as part of elite settlement. They are not going there to serve you. The person who's going there to serve you is not allowed to come. They are already killed and ruined in their expensive primaries. So if you go to any of these big political parties, you first have to learn how to steal before you buy their form. You remember that even APC, President Buhari could not afford to buy the form in the party. Some people, I don't know whether he asked them where they got the money from, had to go and buy the form for him. President Buhari was flying in jets at other aeroplanes all over the country which he could not afford. And the Talakawas who were backing him could not afford it. They did not even need him to do all of that. But these people bankrolled everything from the beginning. And after bankrolling the Buhari presidency, they are bankrupting it in government. So all of these problems will not apply to us. What does Pat Utomi want in government? He wants nothing. His life is fulfilled. He is known globally. You can throw Pat Utomi on a parachute with just a short knicker and a shirt. He will make a living anywhere in the world. Tanko Yunusa is a well-rounded accountant. He doesn't need anyone. Of course, I don't need to praise myself. I earn income all over the world with my law practice, so I don't need all this trouble. But I can never go out without being reminded every day that I'm a Nigerian. And I want people to remember me not as a great man, but as a man from a great nation. And that is what is driving us. So all of this noise making, all of this whatever, they know themselves. That's why they can blackmail one another, because they go to the till together to take things there. They do all their shenanigans together. The people who are coming out now are the last reserves of this generation. Okay, and we are not subject to any of that blackmail.
All right, interesting. But some persons have actually argued, that the solution to Nigeria's political problem is not really about the third force, but that rather we need to visit the Constitution, which is the legal document, that gives the politicians the avenue to, go about all the illegalities they perform in governance. Now, I would like to get your view as to what you think about the existing 1999 Constitution in Nigeria that guides, political activities and the entire country where it comes to the law.
You see, when a bank is being robbed and the armed robbers have their guns and they are all shooting in the air, that's not the time you say, let's call the auditors to come and audit the account. You have to get the armed robbers out of the bank. So what are you auditing? So a country that is presently being raped, abused, misused, and strangulated, and divided, is not the time that you are going to say the same people who are doing it on purpose are going to help you administer a constitutional reform or whatever. You could see that a simple thing like Electoral Act became a conundrum. Every governor left their coven, came to Abuja to pitch to the president not to sign. Every legislator is afraid that if they don't sign a particular way, certain clauses preserved, they could not go home because the governors have smoked them out of their constituencies. So this internecine fight, this battle for survival, is going to be carried into any constitutional reform you want to do. Only honest people negotiate well. The reason why we had a framework at all was that when we had our constitutional breakdown in the 50s, Oliver Littleton invited every of the parties to London at Lancaster House. And because majority of those who went there, almost to the last man and woman, was a patriotic Nigerian delegation. They buried the hatchet, understood their differences, and gave us a constitution that allowed us to go into independence as one country. You don't have that statesmanship now. They could not pass a single budget without padding it with their own personal interests. They cannot amend the Electoral Act without thinking of their own personal survival. How do you think that people who cannot give jobs to citizens without asking for bribe first, people who cannot run legislative hearing without asking those who are appearing before them to come and pay them bribe, how can you say such people are going to give you a constitution that's going to work? They are only going to go there to litigate their ambition and set people against people and make it difficult for us to even have to sustain the consensus we have now. So our thinking in NCF is this, that we will come with a package to structure our government for efficiencies, to unite us along the line of basic principles of the Federation, and to allow for the citizens of Nigeria to determine henceforth by way of continuous engagement in their constitutional process, to have a parliament that is full of patriots, that is not going to be hijacked for personal interest. If you have that in place, many of the controversies that you're having, which actually do not relate to how to benefit the people more, but it's just smoke screens for a united front of political operatives who are behind government, who work with one another, who cross party lines, who cross business line, who are now throwing this bone to the people to talk about issues that are not cogent and are not important. So what we are trying to do is to not postpone delivery of the people from the bondage by setting up certain esoteric targets and say, unless you get these people who cannot run the constitution as is, to come and be the one to help you suggest a better one, when the best elements of what we have now are the ones they are rejecting. So a political elite that obliterated chapter 2 of the Constitution, which calls for the spirit and soul of oneness, of fairness, of equity in the country, which manages how we are going to deploy our resources equitably so that Nigerians do not become poor in a rich country. They have suppressed that successfully so far, and they want no hearing on that. You are asking them to improve on the Constitution, which they already abused. It's not going to happen. So when a person, there are many people in government houses today who have no mandate of the people. Some went to court to get some judicial order somehow, and the court is only going to determine what is presented before you. You can still defraud the court if the two parties are liars. The court is not going to go out to investigate anything. So many people have entered government without the mandate of the people. The legislature is not doing its function. Many of the people you find in the legislature are agents of the executive. And you find out that even the executive itself, the head of state is cordoned off from interacting with his people and getting information. And the state governors that have a lot of money have become barons, ballot barons. They run elections outside their state. They change the destiny and leadership of political parties at will. They give directives to party leaders who want to give them advice and directive. So the whole system is stubborn, is paid for, is bought. So you are not going to get any solution from there. You cannot go to bank robbers and tell them to tell you about treasury management. So what we are trying to do in NCF is to let Nigerians know that the solutions which you discuss in your houses, the solutions you discuss in your trade union, when you meet, in town union, in labor union, in student unions, in every place, in the markets, in the offices where you meet, that through NCF, these ideas that you have will be coordinated and articulated, and it will become a platform to access power. Nigerians will see for the first time why democracy is a song and is a beauty and is poetry in the mouth of civilizations all over the world. We haven't seen it before. We are going to give Nigerians, the Americans will be jealous of us. Americans who participated in the Obama revolution will be jealous of us. What we are bringing about.
I must say that I'm excited already, and I really look forward to this. But I'm also concerned about the coalition, because you've mentioned some names.
Yes.
You talked about Professor Patu Tomi,
yes,
as part of this coalition. You also talked about the Abona Renewal presidential candidate Tope Fashua,
yes,
earlier, and I know that all the other parties will be coming in also, and
yes,
each of them already have presidential candidates.
Yes.
I mean, in the 2019 elections,
yes,
or before that. So how do you intend, to manage the internal party affairs of the NCF, or eventually when it becomes a party, so that the ambitions, the interest of everyone, who is coming, is protected? Because, for example, we can only have the position for one president. We can only have position for, where it comes to elective position, we can only have one person, especially especially when it comes to presidency in Nigeria. So how do you intend to manage the internal rancors without going the way, without having the results, so to say, of the ruling All Progressives Congress?
The motive and motivation are what you should watch out for. None of these names you've mentioned, whether it's Abakoba, whether it's Patutomi, whether it's Atayu Jega, whether it's Fashua, whether it's Tanko Yunusa, whether it's Okenwosu, whether it's Falalu, whether it's Oluwagunloye, whoever you mention, they are citizens who are already good citizens. The biggest office in the land that cannot be taken away from you is the office of citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Hold on, please. We have a caller, and I'd quickly like us to take it. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on the Polity. Good afternoon. Hello. Yes, good afternoon. Hello. Please speak up. Please speak up. We can hear you. Good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Please tell us your name because we can hear you already.
Hello.
Oh, I guess the network reception is bad.
So these people already occupy the highest office you can get, citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and they are doing very good job. You can't retire for being a citizen. So they are doing the best they can do in that regard. So these people have the flexibility to be commander-in-chief and president and do it well. And they also have the humility to be street sweeper of the federation and do it well. It's not about ambition. You are not going to have the three problems that drive. One is ego, to say I am the greatest and I want to be the president. And I'm going to crush, it's a do or die, and I'm going to crush anyone who comes my way. Secondly, it's not money politics.
Please hold on. I think this caller really wants to talk to us. Hello, good afternoon. Hello?
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We can hear you. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from and make your contribution.
Okay, I'm Alex. I'm calling from Mondo.
Welcome, Alex.
Hello.
Alex, we can hear you. Please speak on.
I'm Alex. I'm calling from Mondo. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Alex. Please speak on. I guess this network reception is bad.
So second point, that it's not money politics.
Okay.
So none of them is going to rob a bank to become president. So there is no issue of settle me, I've spent billions. We are running election based on people's money, contribution from Nigerians. So it's not about anyone suffering economic ruin in case they don't get it. And it's not about people jostling for position. Every one of these personalities is busy in their own way. None of them wants to run. If you ask me to run for election in the past, I will not run. I have things to do with my time. But we are in a point of crisis. We are in a place where it is unpatriotic not to come forward. We want the best to come forward. So we are constantly auditioning ourselves, constantly. We are trying to get the Usain Bolt of our politics. And our metrics are objective. It's not about someone organizing the politics for us. Each one, we are a college of peers. A college of peers who are trying to constantly peer review our ability to govern, because taking the office is the beginning of sorrow. Because when you open every file in Nigeria, if you're a patriot, you are going to shed tears. So this is what is driving.
Okay, we have another caller. I beg your pardon. Good afternoon. Oh, I beg your pardon.
So it is not a search for glory.
Okay.
It is not come and see me at Eagle Square when I'm being inaugurated. No. This is about we are going to rescue the country. It's a war front. This country has been turned to a battlefield. You've heard of Boko Haram and banditry and all of that. But if you know the Boko Haram in people's stomach, the battlefield of empty stomach that is going on in Nigeria, where parents are looking at their children as liability, as dangerous mouths they have to feed, where state governments do not pay salary for 6 months, and they're asking parents to pay millions as school fees for a child. You want a parent whose salary is 100,000 and got it last 6 months ago and has 3 children to pay 1.2 million per child in a state school. So the governor, who does not pay a civil servant, is asking that civil servant to somehow find 3.6 million for 3 children. And that governor has no conscience, he wants to collect the money. That is the battle going on. There are people in this country that have not seen their hometowns in 6 years. There are people who do highest amount of charismatic prayers because they want to travel 5 kilometers. And when they get to the other end of the journey, they go and do a Thanksgiving service. Yet what they have come for, the economic reason they have come for, is not materializing. So this is not it is not the kind of presidential race in which your ego and personal majesty is at stake. No, you will see how smoothly we are going to come up with a candidate that Nigerians can rally around and a team to work with the candidates that will rescue the country. After we have repaired the country, we have given stability, then those who want to be president for fun and for glory and for fancy can come. But right now, the country needs a rescue, and nobody is going to spend 1 hour on vainglory. That is the approach. These are people who ordinarily in the past will be in the laboratories doing research, will be in the university teaching, will be in law courts and all of that, trying to improve the legal system, who will be in various aspects of their life. They are now being drawn out. Hardly will you tell someone whose family members are calling from far and near to contribute money to rescue a relative from kidnappers, to pay ransom, who are paying hospital bills. Look, we have become the insurance company of our relatives, who are being asked to explain the failure of our government when we go out pontificating to foreign government. As a professional who renders services internationally, I get this question of oxymoron all the time. How do you explain that this thing you are telling us is not working in your country? It's an embarrassing thing. It was fun at the beginning, but it's no longer funny. So there is no person who is awaiting a flight at an airport who watching international media and they turn towards Nigeria, you are already panicking about how people are going to look at you and say, hey, what is happening here? You know, so this is the shame we want to remove. And this is what we are trying to do. So all this issue of presidential candidates and whatever, there are people in our movement that if they become president, I am ready to be a cleaner in the villa, because I know that my cleaning to make their work go on is more patriotic than me fighting them. So, and there are people in that movement who have spent years trying to prepare for leadership, that if you mention my name, they will say, well, if he's interested, then I think I don't even need to bother myself. So that is the spirit of interaction. That's why we are sitting down now, forming cabinet. It's not a case of forming government that APC did. For 9 months, they couldn't form government. In some state governments, for a whole 4 years, the governor has no commissioner because it's a one-man show. So we are already interacting, exchanging ideas, forming governmental structures, preparing ourselves. I can tell you, I can close my eyes right now and tell you what Pat Utomi will say about inflation, about fiscal management, monetary management. I know what Tokopa Shua will say about foreign exchange. I can tell you what Atari Jega will say regarding governance and ethics. I can tell you what Falalu will say in terms of efficiency. I can tell you what you will hear from Tanko in terms of dealing with Almajiri and the poor people of this country. I can tell you right now what Okenwosu will do and talk to you about regarding our democracy and party building. I can tell you without leaving here what Jerry Okudaye will say with respect to restructuring the country and national unity. I can tell you everything. I can tell you what Wale Okuniyi will do in terms of dealing with the issue of NSAS and human rights and all those issues. Though I can tell you what Agbakoba will do in putting together a constitutional democracy that can work for the people. So this is not like strangers who are united by some political opportunism. These are people who are patriots and who are individually ashamed, but collectively determined to put an end to this seeming hopelessness that we forced upon ourselves. Look at President Buhari's cabinet. After so many months of waiting, what a damn squib came out of it. So this is what we don't want to happen. But I can tell you, for every evil or mistake or mischief you find in APC, you find a dozen of it in PDP. They are a practice house of antics. They are never serious. They cannot conduct even their convention. None of the people who they elected, from Yoshi Ayu to the last person, came from the people. Nothing came from the grassroots. It's a college of governors talking and listening to how big your pocket is, and you say, bring me somebody, and they drive them to Eagle Square. Every person who came for their convention was paid for by someone in public office. Not a party member of PDP came there in their own right saying, I believe in this party. Tomorrow, the executive they are trying to inaugurate now, can be dissolved in 3 days. If Governor Wike doesn't like the way the man made the speech, and Tambuwa joins him, and Governor Bauchi joins him, and they just follow. So there is no party for you to join in PDP. You are wasting your time. They are going to lose massively to APC, and we are going to be in crisis. And I can tell you, APC's last card is Buhari. They will go downhill from there. They will never get an angel like Buhari. And this Buhari they got as an angel, they have turned him to an archdevil in the eye of the people. So they are not going to go back there. Even Buhari is a problem to them. That's why you see them causing all the confusion to cage him so that he doesn't serve the people. If you give them a second chance, you know what happens to you? If you are being bullied in your neighborhood, you are being lynched, and you go to a police station, and the person who is oppressing you, beating you, follows you to the police station and beats you up in the police station, you know your case is hopeless. That's what happened to the Nigerian people. They have been oppressed over the years, and they said, okay, we are not going to follow you unless you give us a patriot, a man of truth, a man of integrity to lead you. And they went for Buhari. But in the presence of Buhari, they even oppressed you and looted you more. So, end of that. So we have to now recall and say, okay, away with you guys. We are now going to constitute our government from the grassroots itself. And that's the advantage of what we are trying to do.
Beautiful one. Now, if you look at the complexity of the countries and political makeup, where voting system and the voting system, you would realize that many times you see money bags, showing up, especially where elections is concerned. Yes. Now, I want to ask you, you have mentioned a lot of names here, and I haven't heard any of the money bags, in this company. How do you intend, to carry on, given also the fact that the Nigerian political space, the voters, most of the electioneering processes where it comes to campaigning requires quite a huge sum of money in Nigeria. How do you intend to carry on with these fantastic ideas you're talking about without the company of money bags? Or probably, do you have some money bags, somewhere in the offing who are going to actually throw their money into this idea?
What I can tell you is this. If you study mathematics, the thief can never be richer than the owners. You cannot steal Nigerian money to the point where collectively you are richer than Nigerians. The Nigerian people still have money in their pocket, more than all the political thieves you are mentioning. Secondly, the people have a contract with us, and the contract is different from the contract that the political status quo has. The political status quo says, I will go and take my personal money, I will bring the money to you to do election for me. I will print my own poster. I will feed you at my rally. I will transport you there. But I will go and, once you give me the power, I will go and loot all the money and recover the money and give you a little part of that money to send me back again, and I perpetuate myself. That's our own is the opposite. Our own is that we are not coming to give you money to change your destiny. We ourselves don't need your money when we get to office. We use your resources to work for you. Send us there. It's only a politician that is not popular with the people that needs to give them money for the people to vote for them. We don't need to give you money, and we don't need to steal your money. We are professionals in our own way. We are only grateful to the country that we have been given opportunity to have less problems than most of our compatriots. So the time and opportunity given to us is to go there and commandeer your resources for you and to use it for you. It happened in the First Republic. It even happened to some element in our current situation where it happened in Kano. Shekarau had no money and people rallied around him and he was able to defeat an incumbent governor. It's happened in many places. So Nigerians are not thieves. They want to tell you that Nigerians don't vote unless you pay them. No. Nigerians just don't want to be made a fool of. If they know you are going to that office and suddenly you will change your living standard, your family members are going to become billionaires, and you are going to be using siren to chase them off the street, then they will say, well, why should I vote for you anyway? So then you need to coax them and bribe them to come out. But once Nigerians are convinced, and we are convincing them that this is about them, and that we are coming off our glory, there's none of us dreaming on how to be flying to London to go and do medical checkup and take care of ourselves, or go on jamboree on public resources. Many and most of the people who are coming now have seen it all. There's no country that you can mention that I have not been to. So there's nothing that you will tell Pat told me about the world that he doesn't know. So these are not people who are coming to take advantage of you. Nobody here wants to be fantabulously wealthy. What we are trying to do is to ensure that there is dignity in the last man. Our politics is not about how many big wigs we have or money bags. It's about a country is poor. It doesn't matter how many billionaires he has, by the amount of poor people you find inside it. And we want to make Nigeria a rich country, not just by mentioning numerics like GDP and all of that, but you look around. If you are an international NGO and you come to Nigeria looking for the poor, you will not find. You will be looking for the wretched, you will not find. And that is what we are trying to do. So the people themselves know, Nigerians don't want to collect 200 naira or 1,000 naira and be without electricity for the rest of their life. They do not want their children to be out of school because they can't afford it, or be in schools that will not equip them for the future. They do not want to be sleeping with one eye open. They do not want to be paying ransom. They don't want to be doing any of this backwardness. They don't want to die on roads that are not maintained just because somebody calls himself a bullion van operator and is giving them money on election day. No. So don't look at the people who Nigerians see as robbers, political robbers coming to steal from them. They're not going to treat us that way, because we've shown the credibility and we show that we are ready to work. And even in 2015, in many places, these political jobbers could not attend. They could not penetrate. They had to find a way to deceive the progressive elements to join them and to use their credibility to sell them. The whole idea, majority of the people in leadership in APC cannot stand Buhari for 1 hour. They had to cover their noses to go and get Buhari to run the government. And from the day Buhari decided to run with them, they plan on how to liquidate and cage him. So the progressive forces in Nigeria now are going to lead. And Nigerians will see that the exchange of money and all of that is not relevant. Nigerians contribute money to churches, to mosques, to charity, to everything. Nigerians give their life where the leadership provided. Nigerians travel thousands of kilometers to attend congregations, pay their way, and pay the church, and pay the mosque. Nigerians use their money to go to Mecca to do the pilgrimage because they have faith. If they have faith in a political leadership, do you think they will not do half of that? So there's a saying in my place that you can try to cook for the community will eat it all. But if the community cooks for you, you cannot eat 1% of it. So if you want to bribe Nigerians and throw money at them, you will run out of money. But if Nigerians decide to send 1,000 naira to you, to send you to government, you will not be able to spend all that money. So we are not about looking for big wig or whatever. We are about looking for people who will not make us ashamed. People who will not make us to come to the people and apologize later. People who are going to government to serve, if possible to die for the people of Nigeria. And that's the part we are facing now. And this part is necessary. If we don't do it now, our children will confront these problems. If care is not taken, we debated it regarding legality, regarding the misunderstanding, everything before we came up with the shadow cabinet. But we said a shadow cabinet, even they are going to arrest us, harass us, or interview us, is better than having a government in exile, which is where we are heading to. When the country becomes ungovernable, and we cannot stay here anymore, we will not be forced to form a government in exile begging international community to restore us back to our homeland. We will not allow that to happen. And that is the reason why we are coming forward. We enjoy our privacies. We enjoy our life. There's nothing I love more than to sit down in my law office and be doing law work and all of that. And that is true of many professionals you find. But I don't want to be going to the court. There are many courts I used to go to last year that are not able to sit now. They are sitting in exile. I went to a court recently in Oyo State. The court was sitting in exile because the jurisdiction where the court is supposed to sit, the judge, no judge can go there and sit, which means the justice of Nigeria is running away from parts of Nigeria. I've had cases argued in Abuja arising from jurisdictions that the court could not sit. I've had cases argued in Ibadan for jurisdiction that the court ran away from. I've had that happen to me in Sokoto in many places. So I do not need to turn my country to a flyover country where if the client tells me, come and meet me so and so, let's do a case there, I will say, no, I don't want to go there. Go and ask majority of senior lawyers, they only practice in places where there is an aircraft to take them to. We become Congo, a flyover country. We cannot allow that to happen. It's better for us to suspend everything we are doing. Every professional glory is subsumed by the tragedy that happens to the country. Every personal wealth is destroyed by insecurity. Every professional resume you want to raise in the world is going to start with, he was born in Nigeria, and that the story ends your story. So we need to pause now and deal with this problem and tackle it and do an election for the people of Nigeria. Many of the problems we have are artificial. So they are set up a government that is self-sabotaging. That's why it looks like there's bandits. There is no bandit or banditry that is bigger than an army that has no self-sabotage. It is not possible that the Commissioner of Police, FCT, Commissioner of Police, Niger State, Commissioner of Police, Kaduna State, three commissioners cannot handle Abuja, Kaduna. It's not possible. If you know Nigerian policemen, they're not stupid. If you know Nigerian forces, they're not stupid. So it means that the government is working against itself.
All right.
And we need to put a government in place where from head to toe, they are working for the country.
All right. Before we go on another break, let's quickly take this call. Hello. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on the Polity.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Sunday, I'm calling from Kaduna.
From Kaduna. Thank you for joining us. Please make a point.
Please, I want to ask the gentleman to do.
Okay.
I love his point, but there is something that is in this country now that is really causing more problem, which is the division. How are they going to cope with the division? Because the North is not ready to elevate power. The West, they stand that they are going to rule. The East too, they have not tasted power. And they need the power. How are they going to cope with this situation, girl?
All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm sure my guest can hear you. Yes, you will definitely get a response to this question, as my guest is still right here in the studio. But we need to go on a quick break. When we return, he will get to give us answers to that. Please stay on, keep watching Kaftan Television. We'll be right back.